What's up, everyone? Thralls of Metal here, bringing you yet another excellent metal CD review. I am Sherdlord.
Necrotic Nick.
And we are here to talk today about Brian Posehn, great comic and...
huge metal fan, apparently.
Giant heavy metal fan.
Giant.
Puts out a comedy album that is incredibly infused with metal, and so we wanted to check it out.
Grandpa Metal. This came out on Megaforce on the 14th, Valentine's Day. Much in the spirit of love, once again. Except this time for metal. This is a little bit different for Posehn. He's done comedy albums before. I think both of them were released on Relapse Record. There was like Fart and Wiener Jokes, I think is one I have, which is a lot of fun. Now, he's done like individual metal tracks before. This is an entirely metal album, or at least music album. It's not all skits. There are skits. But this is a little bit different for him. And holy shit, he has a lot of friends. A lot of cool friends.
The all-star cast in this amazing, let's see, you've got Gary Holt, Alex Skolnick, Bumblefoot, you've got Corey Taylor, you've got Jill Janis, you've got Weird Al Yankovic, you've got Scott Ian. Who am I forgetting? Brendan Smalls.
Brendan Small was a huge part of this. I mean, in terms of parody metal, I really can't think of another guy that does it as well as Brendan Small. The late Jill Janis, which this is her last recorded stuff, and it turns out she was a really good friend of Brian Posehn's, and holy shit, she was hilarious. Chuck Billy and Zetro Suso are also on here. So let's get to the music. Now it opens up with a funny little intro where Brian's doing a spoken word about Satan being a dick, and of course the next song is Satan's kind of a dick. And honestly, I was expecting something a little bit more like kind of tame and generic, but this is a ripper of a song. It's thrash at its core. Like pretty much every metal aspect of this is thrash at its core, but with different elements included. This is a thrashy barn burner. It's just a killer song.
I was totally surprised as well. And throughout the whole album, I think I didn't expect the songs to be as cool as they were. That was definitely a theme that followed throughout this album. But yeah, Satan is a Dick is fucking hilarious. And of course, the very first guest musician is Gary Holt, just ripping mad solos everywhere. And they tell you that they do not play Slayer in Hell, which I call bullshit.
They play Huey Lewis, though. I like Huey Lewis.
I mean, that's more hell.
Yeah. I think that's more hell for him, having to play Huey Lewis songs over and over and over again.
But I also thought it was cool how there was so many Slayer references, so you had Gary Holt in there. And of course, Gary tore it up, and it sounded great.
The closing riff on that song is 100% a nod to Jesus Saves off of Rain and Blood. And just the nods to other songs and shit on there are really cool. Like when it gets to that fast gallopy pace, it kind of reminded me of SOD, which Scott Ian is an incredible rhythm guitarist. The dude is a riff maestro. I love that dude. Hilarious song, but also a good song. And I was kind of liking the whole balance there. You get good music, but it's also hilarious. And that's really something I'd love in a parody album. I get like a little skit in between called Scary Nightmare, which leads really well into the next song, 1/4 Viking, 3/4 pussy.
Basically, it's Brian telling his grandmother about this nightmare that he had, and he says, well, thank God I'm a Viking. And she goes, well, not really. Considering I married your dumbass grandpa and our failure of a son knocked up your stupid mom, you know, you're only 1/4 Viking. So that was pretty fucking funny. And the song was excellent, too.
Ripping. This one actually had a little bit of the melodic death feel to it. And, of course, if you're going to do Viking metal, one of the most famous Viking metal bands, you have to get Johan Hegg to do the vocals and make fun of Brian Posehn, too. Which Brian Posehn actually does some pretty cool vocal stuff on here. Like, he doesn't lose any of that nasal, nerdy sound, but he gets down and gritty on some of these parts. I'm like, dude, that's actually pretty badass.
And who is the guest soloist on this track, you may add? Testament's own Alex Skolnick. Of course, he fucking tears it up and makes the song better by his presence.
There wasn't a solo I didn't like on here. Like, everyone that came aboard just killed it.
We forgot Kim. Kim from Soundgarden's on here to even does the solo. Yeah.
We had a Kim Thale appearance, and my God, his wah-drenched solo on his song was
really good.
Incredible. Now, musically, I didn't necessarily like all of this stuff, and this one kind of took a little bit of a turn with the song Big Fat Rock, which it's not about a rock. It's about Brian's cock. Like, it's
his wiener!
I mean, and for people that love fucking dick jokes, which, yeah, us, this was pretty much just gold in terms of the comparisons and the humor in there.
Oh my God, yeah. This song had me laughing out loud a few times. It was awesome.
It's more in the vein of like, you know, like Skid Row and Motley Crue. Like, it's a little bit of nod to, well, cock rock. And you had a really cool guest solo by Phil DeMel from Violence and Machine Head. You know, once again, you had tons of cool stuff, and the music is really well produced on here, too.
Yes.
It sounds very much like a thrash metal album that came out in the 80s or even like the early 90s. It has a nice organic sound to it, and just killer hooks on this. There are 2 covers on here, and I ended up really liking one and not liking the other, but the one I really liked, song I grew up with, was a full-on metal cover of Aha's Take On Me. This was just a fun kind of throwback, and they metaled it the fuck up. They really just made it a full-on metal song, even kind of changed around the next verse and really kind of turned it into like a solo bridge with Rob Cavastani from Death Angel, who just tears it up on here. And this is where Jill Janis comes in and sings the high parts, and she absolutely fucking kills it on
Slayed
there.
it. Rip Jill Janis.
Yeah, definitely miss her. And it's a faithful adaptation, but it also takes some fun liberties, and the whole feel of the song is just, it's flat out fun. And they were just dicking around. I was like, you know what, this is gonna be good. And it ripped. I loved it.
Now the other cover, it was very well done, but I think because I distaste and hate the original song so much, I had a very hard time enjoying it, which was What Does the Fox Say? With Corey Taylor and somebody else singing on it. Once again.
Oh, it's Mike Starr.
Okay, Mike Starr, yeah.
From Steel Panther.
So, it was good. It sounded good. It was very well done. Once again, it was a nice stay true, but had some adaptation on its own. But I just didn't like it. I don't give a fuck what the fox says. I never give a fuck what the fox says. The fox can go fuck himself for all I care.
Unlike Aha, this song never had its hooks on me. It was just this annoying song that people were talking about, and I actually have never really listened to the entire song before. I just know about it, and I've heard the fucking chorus, and then I immediately turn it off, because that's the most pleasurable noise that song can make, is the sound of you just muting
Silence. Simon and Garfunkel, insert here.
So yeah, I mean, musically, yeah, it was fine, and they were just clearly having fun dicking around, but it doesn't have the reference to really, get to me, because, well, we are kind of the grandpa metal. Right, we listen to a lot of older stuff. We're listening to fucking Exodus right now. So, yeah. But it really didn't work for me. I thought the title track was really good, too, and I love the fact that there's a banter between Brian Posehn and Scott Ian. Essentially, Brian making fun of Scott for being old the entire time, and Scott pretty much like, yeah, that's pretty much right.
The other track that I enjoyed the message, but I didn't enjoy the song, is the New Music Sucks, which, if we're talking about music in the popular, pop culture and everything, yeah, my opinion is that it fucking sucks ass. I can't stand it.
Manufactured.
He did a great job producing a song that sounded like something shitty and new.
Yep.
But because it sounded so shitty and new, I really didn't like listening to it. I just listened to it for the lyrics to see what funny shit he was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the music itself reminded me of Bloodhound Gang when they did kind of their pop parody songs, like, all the shit off of Hooray for Boobies and such. This one just kind of screamed a little bit forced. I love the humor in it, I love the message in it, and I like the fact that he brought in Patrick Stump from Fall Out Boy to make fun of Fall Out Boy, which, hey, props for self-deprecation there. But yeah, it really didn't do much for me. And then they did a reprise, which was more metal, and they just kind of just yelled out more bands that they didn't like. And I was like, was this really necessary?
Another favorite track of mine was the song Goblin Love. And Goblin Love is basically another track with Jill Janis on here, and it's almost like a goblin dating service.
Goblin Tinder.
Like audio Goblin Tinder, and it was funny as fuck.
It was. I didn't like the chorus at all. I thought the chorus was just kind of bad on this, but them going back and forth, like reading profiles and shit. And I like long walks on the beach and then devouring people. Like it's ridiculous. It's hilarious. The song itself is just kind of meh, but I really liked the banter between Jill Janis and Brian Posehn in this. And Brendan Small delivered a really cooler solo on this.
Yeah, very Death Clock-ish.
Very
surprise,
Death Clock-ish.
surprise.
Monster Mosh I thought was just okay. Jesus Christ, Bumblefoot solo I think is possibly one of the best ones on here, though.
Yeah, it's very well done, and it's very, you could tell he composed it. It's got a lot of good melodies and a lot of good ups and downs.
Yeah, and that was kind of my issue with this album. Like, the front half, I think, is really loaded with not only fucking hilarious songs, but really good songs, really well-executed ones.
They seemed a little bit stronger in the beginning.
And then the back half was, more or less kind of filler, but was still with some really good humor in it. So, yeah, overall, I think it's a fun album to listen to.
Yes.
Is it like the greatest parody metal album out there? I think Deathclock still pretty much owns those. But it's a fun listen, and I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. I love Brian Posehn. The dude's hilarious. You know, he's a giant nerd. He loves metal. I mean, what's not to like there?
Star Wars. He's in the new Mandalorian.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it,
He could be on this show. We would love to have him.
If he ever sat down here, it would be awesome. Yeah.
We would have some stupid nerdy discussions.
Brian, if for some reason you ever watch our stupid ass videos, please reach out to us. We would love to have you on the show. And we would love to, I don't know, fucking ask you anything. I'll ask you what your favorite fucking crackers are. I don't give a shit. So, so overall, I think I'm going to give it a 3.5 as well. This album was actually a really fun listen upon initial listen. And once again, I agree with Nick. They did some really cool stuff in the beginning, some really thrashy, heavy stuff. I like the fact that it varied styles.
Yes.
As far as metal, it went all over the place, so it didn't just pigeonhole itself in one style. So it kind of parodied a bunch of different things. The lyrics were funny as hell, and the one thing we didn't talk about earlier in the review is there's a funny little phone skit with him and Weird Al, and you know, being a kid growing up when Weird Al was popular, Weird Al is my dude. He's funny as fuck, so to even have him on the album talking with Brian was really cool to me. So 3.5 stars, and I'd be interested to hear what he does for the next album. I hope he does another album to follow this up and takes it even a step further.
Absolutely. So, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe. Because if you subscribe, you are entered in our giveaway for a Cryptopsy Hoodie. Once we hit 1,000 subs, we are going to give away a Cryptopsy Hoodie to one of you lucky people. One of you. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for subbing. All that. We love you guys. Keep it metal.